Hey, what's going on, Table Breakers? Welcome to Season 4, officially, of 7-1 Blitz. All two and a half of us are here right now. What's up, guys? It's been a while.
What's going on?
All right.
Been a crazy past couple months.
It has. It's been a crazy past couple, 48 hours, really. Lots to get into today. We could really jump in anywhere. First, I'll say this. Shout out to our graphics guy, Kyle, for that new intro video. Appreciate it, Kyle. That was the first time I saw it myself. So, if I'm being honest, so thank you. And off topic a little bit, before we get into all the football, I just want to say I'm not going to take a side here, but congrats to the Buffalo Sabres on a win versus a particular team the other day. And I'll leave it at that.
Oh, jeez.
Fuck Jack Eichel.
And there's the opinion.
No bias.
All right, guys. So let's talk about the other superstar who's staying in Buffalo, and that's Josh Allen and what the Bills are going to do to get this guy a ring. So what do you guys like/dislike about what's going on with the Bills and or what other teams in the AFC are doing to kind of compete a little bit? DJ, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, I like the moves so far the Bills have made. I thought they'd be a little bit more, I guess the word is aggressive for some defensive help. And I'm a little surprised, later news this evening was the Levi deal. I'm surprised we didn't match that. That didn't seem like a ton of money. And it's just a guy who's familiar with the defense. So it just seems kind of odd, but, the Chargers are getting stacked. Jacksonville is losing their fucking mind. And no one else has really done anything. I don't know, in my opinion, there hasn't been anything super thing, anything super crazy going on. I mean, I think we're all going to be on edge tomorrow when Deshaun Watson makes his decision. If he makes his decision, I guess it's coming tomorrow. But he doesn't even deserve to play. That's another story for another day. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm okay with what the Bills have done so far. The offense line, I think, has gotten better. Saffold is an upgrade over Feliciano or Williams, whoever you want to figure out who he's plugging and playing for. Probably left side with next to Dion, beef up that left side. And yeah, I mean, I think Daquan is going to be a baller. I think that's a really, really, really good fit. If we can, I would assume now with the stuff we've added, I would think maybe Star is gone, retiring, or whatever he's going to decide to do. And then it's going to be interesting to see what Beasley does in the next little bit here, or what the Bills do with Beasley. Because if I'm not mistaken, I believe he is due a bonus tomorrow. So I'm assuming by midnight, Cole Beasley will either be traded or not on the roster. So, yeah.
Doug, you got anything?
I think my favorite acquisition was actually Tim Settle from the Commanders, because he was with the Commanders for a long time, and he's only 24 years old, and he was buried behind a really stacked D-line with Daron Payne and more of that entire line. So the fact they were able to get him, because he also has chemistry with Tremaine Edmonds, because they both played together at Virginia Tech. So I thought that was huge. And yeah, I love the Roger. I mean, I first didn't love the Roger Saffold pick because, anyone over 30, it's like, because 30, you could just regress at any point. And he was injured a little bit last year. And even though he struggled in the pass blocking point, he was actually very good in run blocking. And I think that's probably what they like the most, because obviously with Allen, you can get away with not having the best pass protection because he can improvise in the pocket. So they wanted to make sure. And another, I actually love the McKissick pickup. I think that was awesome. People are just like, well, we don't run the ball, but he was like a perfect receiving back. He was also very underrated. He was kind of overshadowed with Antonio Gibson with the Commanders. But I think that he's going to absolutely shine because Allen loves getting out to running backs in space. And I think he'll be a perfect fit for that. And finally, I was very happy. I saw a lot of shit talk for Isaiah McKenzie, and it was just I'm sorry, but we needed him because our depth at wide receiver was thin. I think Gabe can agree with me there, like very, very thin. And the fact they're able to keep him, like, so right now, if they don't go, I mean, obviously they're not going to, they're going to either pick up someone in the draft or something like that. But if they go into 2022 with their current wide receiver core, I think they'll be completely okay. I really think, because Diggs 1, Davis 2, Isaiah McKenzie in the slot, and of course Dawson Knox. So I know it's obviously want a little bit more, want some other guys to step up, but I think that's really perfect. But I think the number one need now going into this offseason is now cornerback, because with Levi, that leaves like a huge, huge hole in the defense. So what do you think about that, Gabe?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with most of it. You're talking if they don't address corner in the rest of free agency or the draft, you don't really know who your corner one is starting the season with Trey coming off the ACL. And even when he comes back, you can't expect him to be in midseason form right out of the gate. Free agency is interesting because we can kind of get into the fantasy football effect of it, where it's like, oh, let me just plug this in here, here, and here. And while, yes, you pay big money and it should work, and it does work a lot of the time, but it's not that simple. Like, this isn't Madden. There's a lot that goes involved with team chemistry and coaching. So it's not about how much can you stack the deck. I know the Rams just kind of did this with their Super Bowl, and that was kind of like, and the Bucks, I guess, to a lesser degree, the previous year. But yeah, and I mean, we let Levi go for essentially the McKissick deal because they essentially got the same contract. So we essentially picked to sign McKissick over Levi and give him that money instead, which I guess you can agree with if you have plans for the corner position. I think that gave them a tremendous boost as far as the screen game. I think McKissick is one of the best screen catching backs in the NFL, and he could honestly fight for the 1A slot on the Bills roster. I don't think there's an Antonio Gibson to challenge him here. So it'll be interesting how they come up with stuff for him. And I'm just going to call this now. I know it's still early, but my prediction for their first draft pick, if nothing else gets addressed, is McCreary from Auburn, the cornerback. I've been saying that for a little bit, and that might change as time goes on if they address the position. And the big thing to watch in the next couple of days too is everyone wants to see if Chandler Jones ends up a Bill. So, Jerry Hughes, will he retire? Will he resign for a short, team-friendly deal? Who knows? Chandler Jones is 32 years old, so it's not like, he just came off 10.5 sacks last season, so he's still very productive. So does he get like a 2-year deal in there somewhere, something like that? We'll see, but it'll be interesting to see how they address that side of the ball as well, because edge rusher, they have two, I think, unproven guys from last year. They had a lot of veterans that they wanted to get in because they were, making top dollar, and they were the experienced ones going on a Super Bowl run. So it wasn't really the time to let rookies learn the ropes. So it'll be interesting to see how they let Rousseau and Basham and guys like that, unleash a little bit. But yeah, very interesting stuff. I think Bean knows a lot more than we do. So I think that's a safe prediction for me to say. But yeah, I would expect Beasley to be off the roster relatively soon. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet, to be completely honest. But yeah, I would expect Gronk's out of the mix now with Brady coming back. And yeah, interesting stuff. That's kind of where I stand on everything.
Yeah, I think too, there's like, Chandler Jones, everyone's kind of fawning over him, which obviously you're saying he's coming off 10.5 sacks or whatever last year. Obviously there's a reason, we'd want him, but you look at the other guys, some of the guys that are out there, there's still some stuff out there that would be interesting help. You're going to be on the older side along with Chandler Jones, but I'm not opposed to bringing Jerry Hughes back if it's the right deal. Me guys, I was a big cut Jerry Hughes fan last year, and I got killed for it. So, but there's still some guys out there. I will disagree with with you, Gabe, a little bit on the corner thing. I think there's a lot of free agent corners, and yeah, none of them are elite to say the right word.
Yeah.
But there's some talent out there. There's Joe Hayden, who's 32. There's what's his face? I just saw his name.
Dante Jackson from Carolina.
Yeah,
he's only 26 years old.
There's Kyle Fuller, Tavon Young from Baltimore, who is only 28.
Boye,
Patrick Peterson. These are names that would help. We don't need a number one corner. It'd be interesting too. I think if the Giants end up cutting Bradbury, that's someone that we would probably jump on. But yeah, there's a lot. I mean, you could get Gerald Everett. We were talking about Gerald Everett last year. He's a free agent this year again. Coming off his deal with the what was it, Seahawks? He went to. So I mean, there's talent to be had, and I everyone's like, oh, the Twitter overreacts every time Bean doesn't do something, but there is some stuff that can make sense. I'm a little worried about the quarterback position. Tyrod just signed with the Giants. I thought maybe you could see a reunion here with him. There's not too. I don't want Fitz. No Fitz. No. Everyone is probably fucking mother effing me right now. No, Fitz is old, and you need someone with, you're not going to get another Josh Allen, obviously, right? So you need someone with a similar skill set, in my opinion, who, when he comes in, he doesn't limit what your offense can do to the max that would like Fitz would do. You could bring in Fitz. He can't run half the plays that Josh can run. So your playbook becomes extremely limited. Marcus Mariota would be a decent name if we could somehow get him.
I was just about to say him.
As much as it pains me to say, Cam Newton, that's who Josh has been compared to his entire career so far. I've heard talk of Kyle Allen, Jacoby Brissett's out there. There are some guys that could, not going to change the game really, but they won't. They're game managers and can still do some of the things that Josh does. And you need a somewhat mobile quarterback who can run very, very similar plays. Otherwise, our offense is not going to be the same offense. The personnel we have isn't built for 5-step drop and hope to God somebody's open.
Let's. I think the best option for backup is Josh Allen's left arm. I think that you could still get the same amount of maybe not as much pizzazz, but the same amount of, as you would say, piss missiles. I think that's the best option for that out of a backup position. Josh Allen's left hand. Let's start that trend. But yeah, in all seriousness, that is something. Do you think a rookie like a 4th rounder is worth it, or
no?
Would you rather have a vet?
No,
you want a vet?
Definitely a vet.
Yeah, not with so much on the line where it feels like, the window is probably realistically now this year or next year before you got to start worrying about more money issues. So if you're in that window and you're in Josh Allen, hope to God doesn't go down, but he goes down, you're gonna, do you really want to live or die by a 5th round draft pick quarterback?
Well, no, of course not. But I mean, to be fair though, I think if Josh goes down, I think there's your season, no matter who the backup is. You're talking about a top 3 at least quarterback in the NFL, and I doubt any current free agent or rookie either way is going to salvage that if you lose that in any way. But back to your thing about the corner. I mean, you're right that you could still pick up a guy, and a lot of what this team does is through schematics. It's not through like big name players. And we see guys step in. But what's the one thing we talked about then when they lost to Kansas City? This was finally going to be the game. They missed Trey. It's like, they don't have a premier edge rusher, but these guys do the job. Well, it's like, well, now finally when you don't have that guy who scares the living shit out of offensive linemen, that's what happens. So could they get by like in regular season games? Sure, but I think if you want to get over that hump of that 1 or 2 extra games you need to win a championship, you might have to go big on one of these defensive positions at like a premier price. That's just my take, though.
Yeah, I'm interested to see too. I've heard Laviska's name floating around a little bit.
Yeah.
I was wondering
what are the Jags doing?
Who knows? But you got to wonder if being called to say, "Hey, we got Cole Beasley, and we'll trade you."
I mean, they might not be in their right mind, so they might take it.
If there's a way we could get Laviska, I would try to get that. I mean, he would be, I think we're set at wide receiver. Honestly, I think bringing back Isaiah pretty much eliminated, and then getting McKissick, I'm pretty much eliminated Patterson. I thought maybe he was going to be a guy they targeted, but when you add McKissick and then Isaiah, you're good. I feel like they're good now. Tight end is still, I think, a need. OJ Howard, Gerald Everett, Gronk, whatever he's going to decide to do. I think, like you said, I think we can probably eliminate him. But there's Hayden Hurst.
That's actually he's very underrated.
He's extremely underrated. And he is only 28 years old, so there's some tread on the tire there. And I think we need we need to be able to run 2 tight end set. I think we
absolutely
you have to.
We ran it the least amount of anybody in the NFL last year, correct?
Because we didn't have the personnel for it. We had Dawson Knox and Tommy Sweeney. Like that's gee.
I think that should be an issue. Not an issue, but a position that should be addressed here in free agency. I don't like any of the tight ends coming out of college. I don't also like. I think with the Bills being in win now mode, I'm not opposed to them trading the 25th pick and acquiring somebody that might be an instant help. If you're looking at what maybe we could do, you look at what the Rams did. They kind of went all in. They said, "Fuck it, we're going to go spend past the cap because apparently you can. We're going to trade all our picks away for the next 10 years, and we're going to win a Super Bowl." And the Bills being that close, trade picks, trade guys you're not sure of. I mean, they were not sure of Harrison Phillips, and they didn't re-sign him.
I was just about to ask, how from 1 to 10, how surprised were you guys by that? I'm assuming like 2 or 3.
Surprised that he was cut?
No, surprised that they didn't re-sign him.
Oh, I would say like a 7. I thought he earned a spot at the end of last year. He played really well. And he's a guy who knows his familiarity with the defense. And, it wasn't. I thought, I was surprised by Harrison Phillips.
I will say,
a little surprised by Levi, but Harrison surprised me.
Yeah, because it did take him a few years to really become his own. Because like that injury they suffered in the second year kind of like really took him out of his potential, and that was kind of unfortunately where. But obviously, I think they completely upgraded that position. Where I think the run defense is going to be marginally better, at least to fill the holes that was there before.
Yeah, I agree.
One thing, a position that's been up and down that is kind of an under the radar need, and there's been kind of trade talks been thrown around this position. What do you think they'll do at linebacker? Do you think Tremaine, something happens? Do you replace AJ Klein? Obviously you have to replace AJ Klein, but how are you addressing that position?
Maybe draft someone in the middle rounds, at least to have depth back there. But they did just re-sign Tyrell Dodson, at least at the beat before everything. But obviously they might go within a.
Sorry.
We're gonna say DJ.
I said whoop-de-doo.
I obviously they're probably going to upgrade that point within the middle rounds, because I think that their current draft position is kind of inconvenient because like obviously do you guys think that Ryan Bates is like the starting guard for next year?
Yeah.
You guys okay? That's
yeah. I feel like they've kind of like groomed him to be that guy. He's been here for a little bit, and when he fills in, he's pretty good, and he's going to be on the right side. So I think he'll be fine. That left side's more important in my opinion, and the left side's going to be tough to beat. So
it's going to be really interesting, especially with Cody Ford going to be running the bench. Do you think that he's going to stick around, or do you think that he's just going to, or do you think they're going to because I've heard some talks of they may actually trade him somewhere and get like a 6-round draft pick or something like that. But But you actually think they should actually keep him, so at least have some sort of depth behind there. But obviously, they can go in several directions for that.
They could put a cardboard box in there if they wanted depth. Cody Ford fucking sucks.
Yeah, he completely. Yeah, just. Oof.
I don't care. He sucks. I hope he's watching. You suck, dude.
You met the man.
I know. I was like the first person he met in Buffalo.
That's cold.
To your point with linebackers, there's some interesting names out there now because Jacksonville, again, has lost their fucking marbles. Miles Jack makes things a lot more interesting with the Tremaine Edmonds talk, in my opinion. I think there's got to be a serious decision on Tremaine Edmonds now because if you can trade
get Miles Jack, who's been solid ever since he came in the league.
Yeah, you can. A guy who's established. And if you can train Tremaine Edmonds for something and end up adding a Miles Jack, maybe you do it. Maybe this is the time to do it. I really like Za'Darius to fill like an AJ Klein spot. Right, he's an outside linebacker.
Yeah, and he was hurt all last year, so like he's actually gonna be cheaper than Chandler Jones, but like he's ready to go for the season. So I think
he is strictly a pass rusher though. Don't expect.
Yeah, he will be. Yeah, he would be a defensive end in our scheme.
Oh, okay.
And Jerry Hughes is actually 200 because like people are always wait a second, is he going to fit because he mostly played as a 3 to 4 outside linebacker compared to like a 4-3 defensive end. But I actually looked up Jerry Hughes is 256 pounds. Zadarius Smith 275.
Oh shit. Okay.
So it obviously there will be certain differences to like what type of like edge rushers that they need. If they're more focused on the run, more focused on pass rushing, but I feel like Zadarius Smith would be a really good fit. I know that he's not the only name out there, but I think that people should just calm down the Chandler Jones talk because I think there are other good options out there. Like look at Trey Hendrickson last year. Like he had 14 sacks and no one expected him to do anything. So like just don't just look at the big names. Like look at what they like from year to year, like how many sacks went by every single year. But like but here's another thing that I'm kind of concerned that they maybe won't address it because like, what if they want to go the direction where like, okay, Rousseau is going to like break out this year. So we're not going to need that position, or they put Bash or Epineza. Like, do you guys think they hold off on that to develop them? Because with this personnel, I'm kind of, it could really go either way.
Well, that's something I think that they know internally. They know their guys better than people just watching highlights on Twitter do. No offense, DJ. But that happens a lot in the NFL where like you could pick the team. I'm sure there's examples with all 32 teams where it's like, oh, why didn't you address this position? This guy's not that good. And then next season rolls around and, oh, hey, look at that. 6 interceptions, 10 sacks, or pick your position, like, and you'll see improvement. And like, oh, that's great. Thank God we didn't sign that guy. Well, if we had it your way, we would have signed that guy. And then we would that's just how it is here. But I mean, it's a very thin line because, like DJ said, with the window being this year and probably at least the following year after that, do you want to risk it and just say, "Oh, I just believe he'll break out"? It's tough, but I mean, like I said, I think they know what to expect from someone better than just we do. And then we're honestly just guessing.
Yeah.
Like we take what we see last year, we don't see them in practice, and we're like, well, I guess we'll find out in August or September. Those are football professionals, and they see them every day. They know when a guy is due, probably. So and then especially with a guy like Bean, I'm gonna take his word for it on however he decides to address each position.
Yeah. What about I didn't bring him up before for the Tremaine talk, but Bobby Wagner. I know he's a little bit older. That's a guy that can solidify that middle of the field. I
was thinking about him. I was going to bring him up, but he hasn't been linked to anything around here. It's been Dallas. It's been Denver. It's been either the LA teams because he's from there. But what did he say? Something like it's really not about money. It's like just he wants to be himself. DJ, I think you told me that earlier today. Like
that was Chandler Jones.
Whoops, never mind.
Chandler Jones wants to be the best version of himself.
All right, well then the Bills are signing Chandler Jones. Never mind. But no, with Wagner though, yeah, that would be good. But I haven't seen him linked to anything remotely even close to here, so I don't know if that's really worth talking about.
Yeah, I haven't either. I just thought I'd bring his name up because he's a big name. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I don't know. I think that, yeah, like I said, there's half of Bills Mafia that's ready to lose their fucking mind because Bean hasn't pulled the trigger on this blockbuster deal.
And you know what's crazy though? Like, sorry to cut you off, but
No, you're good.
to that point though, it's like free agency is very pretty when it goes your way, like in this week. But say August rolls around and one of these new guys snaps an Achilles.
Yeah.
I know you can't predict that, and I don't wish that. God forbid. I wish this was like Madden. You could turn injuries off. I really do, but that does happen. And then it's, well, why did you sign that guy? Well, how are we supposed to know that was going to happen? But that really is the gamble you take with all this. Like the Jets last year signed Carl Lawson. They lost him for the whole season, and that's just one example. That happens all the time, really. But yeah, I mean, there is no guarantee like that what you do this week in March is going to, like, you can't, if we learn anything these past playoffs, is you cannot predict the whole season in March, in April, in August, in September. Hell, you can't even predict it in December, what's going to happen. So it's way beyond who you sign in free agency. It really is.
And I want to piggyback off like the free agency strategies for each team. At least we're not Colts fans right now because they actually have the most cap space out of any team. And guess how many people they've only re-signed people. They haven't signed one person.
No, they signed a corner from the Raiders for like $10, but but yeah, that's about it.
All the rest were just re-signs. And it's like,
yeah, that's crazy.
It's just like, how do you not want to take a chance like to improve your team? It's like but we don't know what they're thinking in the war room and all that.
Well, I think there's going to be some fallout once Deshaun gets traded because, there was a rumor floating around that if it's the Browns that the Texans didn't really want Baker, so maybe they flip Baker somewhere. The Colts have been linked to Garoppolo, which I think he'll move once Deshaun gets traded. I think Garoppolo will be the next guy moved. I think he does get traded. I could see him ending up in Indianapolis. He looks like a quarterback that would play for Frank Reich.
I think that's honestly the perfect fit for them and him.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a match made in heaven. And like, I think the Niners should have already done this by now because with all this QB carousel going on, all of a sudden the market to trade the guy is shrinking.
Well, until Deshaun gets traded, I think it'll open back up.
Well, yeah, true.
I think that once Deshaun makes his decision, Houston, figures out where he's going to go, which I guess I just saw somebody from, I think, what's her name? Diana
Rossini?
Yeah. She just tweeted out something like an hour ago about how the teams that Deshaun visited, they already sent their trade packages to Houston. So that's interesting. So it really comes down to what Deshaun wants to do here. My gut says he ends up in Carolina, because that's probably the best place for him. If he goes to New Orleans, they're going to suck.
I don't know how they can make that work money-wise.
Yeah. They don't have any picks to even a trade. I don't know how you're trading picks when you don't have any. And then, maybe Cleveland. The best part about him going to Cleveland, if he goes to Cleveland, is every Cleveland Brown fan has given Big Ben shit for the last 18 years about being a rapist. And then their quarterback allegedly, don't forget that. There's still the civil suits going on or whatever, but had all these accusations of sexual assault. So how the tables have turned on those Cleveland Brown fans.
A sleeper is actually Atlanta. They have came out of nowhere.
I think that's fucking smoke. That's
Deshaun apparently allegedly contacted the franchise personally.
I wonder if that's because the other two teams interested are in the same division.
Mm-hmm.
So the Falcons put together some sort of package. Okay, yeah, they're giving you this. We're going to give you this.
Or to make Carolina, New Orleans be like, oh shit, let me up my offer, type thing.
That too, yeah.
It's weird because with Matt Ryan, you'd have to get rid of him because of that cap, and who knows if Houston wants to take that on or how that would work. That'd be a huge mess, I think, if not handled properly. And with Cleveland, not to check receipts or anything, but when we were having our Baker discussion a few months ago, we were talking about how would they move on, would they not move on from Baker, and I said I don't think they would for a rookie, but if it was for Deshaun or Russell Wilson, they would. That's all I'm going to say about that. But in all seriousness, though, with Cleveland, if you're having this meeting, like they met with Deshaun Watson, I think you burned your bridge with Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, this feels like Tua in Miami, man. This just feels like shit. Like, yeah, I would assume Baker. I talked to Gabe earlier about this. I'm like, if I'm Baker, I'm calling my agent and telling him to get me the fuck out of here no matter what happens. Because that proves that I'm not it for them. So get me the fuck out of here. Send me somebody they want me to be their quarterback. There's a market for Baker. You know, every team needs a backup quarterback. So there's definitely a market for Baker.
At a $19 million cap hit.
Whatever. There was somebody making a shit ton. Look at Taysom Hill. He makes a shit ton of money.
Okay, the Saints are. We don't talk
Nick
about
Foles.
Yeah, Big Dick. Well, Big Dick Nick swinging. So I mean, it is what it is.
If Houston does not want Baker, if they do go forward with Deshaun to Cleveland, and let's say Houston doesn't want Baker, I think Seattle would be the first team on the market.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Because no matter what happens, I still think Jimmy G ends up in Indianapolis. So
I think he's gotta.
Here's another thing. Where do we think Jameis Winston ends up? That's another interesting thing. Like he was really solid last year. Like he's like this kind of pass on the radar on the quarterbacks in free agency.
He's definitely going to end up at Joe's Crab Shack.
But I think he could be a fit for Indianapolis.
It's tough because of the ACL. Like, when would he come back? That's the thing. Like, he did look good, and before he went down, he really did.
Yeah, it was unfortunate.
The ACL doesn't count as a big injury anymore, unless you're Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
I mean, if the Saints don't get Deshaun, could he stay? Decent chance, probably. If they don't get Deshaun, I'd say the best fit is for him to stay put.
Probably. Doesn't hurt the Saints either.
Yeah.
So, what we didn't really talk about, I know we're talking quarterbacks, and I'm going to flip the script a little bit. We have not talked about Saquon Barkley or Christian McCaffrey.
Well, I don't think that's not happening now.
Why?
I just don't see it happening.
Well, I don't think McCaffrey was ever happening.
I don't think
either. But let's talk about it, because Singletary's not RB1. I don't give a shit what he did the last 4 games of the year. I care about the 25 games before that.
Well, let me ask you this, though. Like, they just gave McKissick, like $7 million? That could be $8 million. I think that's what the contract said.
Yeah.
I mean, if you take on Saquon's 5th-year option, that's $7 million for the year, and I think that would be a rental. You're not re-signing him probably, or not able to. Do you pay 2 running backs like that?
Yeah. I just don't see it happening.
I just think if Josh has an off game, or the offense is having a game where it's not clicking, and you can get a guy like Saquon Barkley for a 3rd or a 4th rounder. You're talking the price is not high, so you get this guy, and if the offense isn't having a game, Josh is off, he's hurt, he's sick, and he's just having not the day. You don't think you would love to have the luxury of having Saquon Barkley carry the ball 30 to 40 times?
That is not what my argument is at all. It's just.
Would you send Singletary back? Because Singletary's in a contract year too, and you're probably not re-signing him anyway. So are you sending him back?
Yeah, you could probably give up Singletary in like a 5th.
That's what I was gonna say, him in a late rounder.
Yeah, that probably gets it done. I don't know. For me, and I don't necessarily think we need to go out and get Saquon Barkley by any means, but I think there's a very good part of me that believes that he will be a Bill before the season opener. And I could be wrong. I have no fucking source. I have no evidence of this.
That's a nice story.
It's like a gut feeling when I said last year that Trubisky was going to end up with the Bills. And I was right. Toot toot. But I just feel like there's something in where he fits. He seems like he's a McDermott guy.
Well, you gotta think they said they're taking calls, and when you just come out and say you're taking calls, that means you're getting rid of the guy. You won't be on the Giants. I'd be shocked if he was on the Giants opening day. And you got to imagine with the way the AFC is going right now, with all these signings, you got to imagine there's another team in the AFC that's like, let me add Saquon Barkley to keep up with what's going on right now. So if the Bills maybe should do it just so another team doesn't, maybe. And I know there's health questions with Saquon, but the workload wouldn't even match what it would have in New York. And the schematics would be so much better. He'd have the best quarterback of his career by 1.5 miles. And I mean, O-line isn't great, but it's better than the Giants. So I mean, you're looking at a great situation for Saquon if he came here.
I'm not saying it's going to be that specific player, but I would expect like a domino effect for the Bills to at least add a player like Barkley, especially if Watson goes to the Browns, because like the AFC West now is like stacked. It's going to be the Wild West next year. All teams are, I mean, the Raiders are the worst team in the division by default. So it's and if Deshaun Watson goes to Cleveland, and plus like we play the AFC North next year, that means that's another challenge on our schedule. And like I'm honestly very surprised by like the disparity between the AFC and the NFC right now. And honestly, that reason for the NFC is the reason why some domino effects happen on that side, because Brady decided to unretire after 40 days. So it's just.
Well, and that's honestly why I think that you have to add a player. Like you trade for Saquon or you try to trade for LaVisca. You need to add as much firepower as you can. The AFC, not even just the AFC, West, they're going to beat the shit out of each other. But the North could be stacked. The whole AFC as a whole is a stack. Out of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL, 8 of them are in the AFC.
Yeah, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
It's
Bills are lucky that their division is like the only shit one left. Well, I mean, I guess the South isn't great.
The South is pretty bad.
There's 2 very, very solid divisions in the AFC, especially if Deshaun goes to Cleveland. And yeah, you could say like they're going to beat the shit out of each other, and like the Bills could have an easier regular season, but then once playoffs hit, if you're not battle tested, that could be a rough ride. So,
oh my God, yeah, and this is a year where probably the number 1 seed is going to be next to impossible to get because of schedule strength, and this is probably the year they need it the most.
But if last year proved anything, number 1 seed doesn't guarantee shit.
It doesn't guarantee you anything.
No, but they got to get that. If the AFC has to go through Buffalo in January, I like our chances. I do. And I'm not saying we're gonna win it all and all this shit, but like, I would prefer the AFC have to come through Buffalo in January because the weather is not friendly.
Like the home field for us is more important, more of a game changer than it is like the Titans or the Chargers or I'm just throwing like warm teams out there.
Do you think we beat the Chiefs if we were in Buffalo? You don't think crowd would have been a factor or other things? I would like their chances better. Probably. Maybe the outcome's the same.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, home field advantage can already do so much for you.
I mean, that's the difference. Those games last year that mattered, Jacksonville and Pittsburgh that we lost, like came back to fucking haunt us because who knows how the season maybe would have ended differently if
the Titans game the most, and that was completely winnable on our side.
Yeah,
we win that game. They're 12-5, and they have wins over the Chiefs and Titans.
Yep. Yeah, fucked us. But I think the Bills and Bean and the guys need to be thinking about adding firepower because you can't watch the rest of the AFC get better and better and better, and then you sit there and add a couple depth guys that, yeah, they're gonna help, but do they put us over the top? We need to be put over the top. I think, in my opinion. Josh obviously being probably the second best quarterback in the AFC. You still need more. Gabe always says it's not a one-man guy. It's not a one-man show. You need more than that one guy. Stephon Diggs, unless they add something else to the other side. I'm no disrespect to Gabe Davis, but he's not going to cause attention to go away from Stephon Diggs. Maybe I would like to see them add Allen Robinson. You add LaVisca. You add another weapon to kind of get some attention away from Diggs and open up some more stuff. And then Gabe Davis gets better and all that stuff. I don't know. I would stack the deck as much as you fucking can. Stack the deck.
I think here's a good question. That's actually would be a good thing to cap everything off here. So last year we had many conversations how like the Bills really didn't get better in the offseason last year. Like, yeah, they technically got an upgrade with Sanders over Brown. But other than that, they both free agency and draft, they really didn't do anything to like make the team? Are we afraid that's going to happen again because of history, or do you think that they're finally, or do you think Beane's going to like get like a light bulb and be like, okay, we got to make this move right now, either edge rusher, wide receiver, corner, something?
Me or you, DJ?
You can go.
Yeah, I mean, I remember last year, like after the draft and after free agency was over, we were like, wait, that's it?
Yep.
We didn't think we got better. And we talked about all year how we assumed we were in the AFC Championship against the Chiefs again, and we only addressed areas of need for that game, right? That's what we did. And we went edge back to back. And what ended up beating us this time? It was secondary, and it was I guess you could still say pass rush because they didn't.
Yeah, because there was nothing.
And you lose a game because you played prevent with 13 seconds. I mean, let's call it what it is. I mean, I would say so because like 2020, you come out and in the COVID year, and they have this magic season and you catch everyone off guard, and that was that year, but there is no catch anyone off guard anymore type thing. I know you have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL that you can't really schematically defend because of how physically gifted he is. But DJ, you said that this is what I say, and it is because Josh Allen walked off the field twice a winner with under 2 minutes and didn't touch the field again and lost. That's the best performance in NFL history in a loss. And it's got nothing to do with him. It's like the look on his face said it all. It's like, what the hell more did you want me to do? Hold the ball for another second? Or like, so, I mean, it's a real thing with not getting any better because, in my opinion, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. And that doesn't necessarily mean break the bank for the top free agent every single year because it's physically impossible to do that. But there's got to be constant change and adjustment in the NFL. And there's no one that's above adaptation and change in this league. And that's kind of where I stand on that.
And I think that we still have time to make that move.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we still have like the rest of the week, just at least something. And I'm not even saying like a big move, like just to fill hole. So when we go into the draft, then we can at least at least build depth that way.
Yeah, like I said, I don't see us picking at 25. I don't think we'll have that pick come draft night.
Trading down?
No, we're trading.
Trade up.
I think we're gonna trade that pick for a veteran player. I could see Hunter from Minnesota maybe for.
I was gonna say.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about him.
I could see that pick's gonna go. That pick is gonna go to the guy that's gonna make that. This is that splash player we're talking about, whether it's on offense or defense. That 25th pick is gonna be used on a veteran guy. That's my gut feeling. I don't think we draft at 25. I don't think we draft in the first round.
I wonder who would be an offensive player that would be shopped for like that teams are willing to move. Like who do you think is an offensive player on like a bad team that like a team would be willing to deal to Buffalo for a first round pick? Like, is there anyone in mind? Like I can't really think on defense. I could think of a couple, but not on offense. That's tough.
No, because I don't think offense there is anyone. I mean, like I said, I think you can add Allen Robinson, get him to be.
That's free though.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm just saying. But like, I don't know if there's anyone you would trade for outside of Saquon. You wouldn't give up a first round pick,
right?
No, I don't think any running back is worth a first round pick.
No, definitely not. I'm trying to think who the hell would be available to trade. Maybe Chris Godwin.
They tagged him and he tore his ACL. Do you really want to do that?
Yeah, no.
I mean, Brady's coming back. Yeah, but Brady's coming back. They're not trading him.
Yeah.
Maybe Tyler Lockett, but he's not worth a first round pick.
Not a first rounder.
DK Metcalf for a second, maybe.
Metcalf is an interesting one.
That's definitely a second or maybe third. I know that.
I'm sure Seattle would entertain that for the 25th pick. DK Metcalf straight up, they would entertain that.
What would you? What would you do maybe with New Orleans? Would you call New Orleans and poke around their 10 a little bit and see, because they got no picks, they have like no cap. Maybe they want the 25th pick for, I don't know,
Michael Thomas,
Kamara, Michael Thomas. I don't know. They got Cameron Jordan. Not Cameron Jordan, but Lattimore. I don't know. I'm just throwing names out that would be worth a first round pick. I mean,
Kamara would be insanely interesting. Even I don't think he's on the trade block, but if we're just talking, that might be the one guy I would do that for.
yeah.
Him or maybe like Dalvin Cook, because there's been talks about Minnesota
Yeah.
cleaning house. Those would be the two running backs I would consider for.
Yeah. Oh, do you call like the Rams, who are in cap hell and have no picks for the next 10 years, and they can get back into the first round this year?
For who?
You know, I don't know.
I don't know. I mean,
I'm just saying.
I think they've made their bed and they're going to sleep in it. And they're just going to go all in with whatever they have for however long they can ride it out. I think that's their situation.
Okay. Hey, that's fair. I'm just thinking of teams that need picks, that are in cap problems, that would be willing to maybe part with a talented player for a first round pick.
If Calvin Ridley didn't have his issues, I would say him.
Yeah.
If he didn't get suspended for gambling.
Well, apparently the Eagles had a deal in place for that until that happened, which is crazy.
Oof. That's all we have to say. Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. DK is the most interesting and realistic, in my opinion, for offense.
Yeah, and I think Hunter on the other side of the ball.
Mm-hmm. Does Minnesota give up another player to Buffalo?
I mean, it worked out for both.
That would be so funny.
It did.
You know, it's funny to say that it did. There's people that would rather have Diggs than Justin Jefferson, but it worked out. It's one of those rare ones that work out for both.
Yeah, I mean, because Diggs is, an established guy making good money on a championship caliber team, and Justin Jefferson's still, on his rookie deal, and he's a sensational talent, but Minnesota's got work to do, so they've got time with him. So,
Yeah,
I mean, it does work out.
They did sure up Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
They're fucking dumb.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we're gonna do.
No, I think the Bills. I don't know. I think Bean and the Bills. I think they'll be fine. I think like I said, my gut is Saquon ends up a Bill. It's somehow, some way, and I do think that the Bills do not draft in the first round at all this year. I think they trade that pick for the guy that's going to put them over the top. I don't know who it's going to be. It's going to be the guy that puts them over the top, though. We'll make enough moves to be a good roster, and then the guy that they'll trade that pick to is the guy that puts us over the top. So
here's how I see it breaking it down. Like I said, that move isn't going to happen. Like I said, where Watson gets traded to the Browns, but guess what? That's not going to happen. So we're just going to not do anything. That's the pessimist inside of me. It's just nothing. It's just, we're good. Keep building up. Keep going.
I don't think they're thinking that way.
I mean, I don't want them to be thinking that way.
I don't think they are. I don't think they're thinking that way. I think that they watched what the Rams did last year, and I think they're trying their best to emulate it in with limited cap space. I think, like I said, I think they're going to have to trade some. I think they're going to have to trade some capital. Plain and simple. There's no more building for the future. The future's now. So
let's hope so.
Start getting rid of that capital that you have built up and acquired. Then you got to hold the pieces are in place, make a run, and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, because once the window's closed, who gives a fuck who you draft?
I mean, we'll always have a window, I feel like, because of Josh. But True. I mean, there's obviously going to be some shuffling and shifting around once contracts are up and people retire, and there's always that little. I don't know if we'll ever be in a full blown rebuild as long as Josh is our quarterback.
No.
They're really good.
The window where you can win a championship is right now. It was last year. It was probably the year before, you could say, when we were catching the league off guard. And now, like I said, now we got a huge target on our backs. And the more Josh does, the bigger that target gets. Everyone in the world watched that divisional round game last year and saw what Josh Allen brings to the table. Hence why big name free agents want to sign here and all that shit. You want to go to war for that guy. So the target gets bigger, but also we get the reward of having him too.
And it's also why the rest of the AFC did what they did in this spending period.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially the Chargers. The Chargers had no shot.
They're not dumb. They know.
No shit. The Chargers had no shot. Now I feel like they're a threat.
No, they're really the AFC West. It's like they're just gonna. They're not. I don't think any of them are gonna get the 1 seed because of like how stacked it is. But it's. I could see that team having three teams in that.
Yeah, that division
for sure.
100%.
I think the Patriots are out.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
See Matthew Judon trying to recruit on Twitter.
He can't recruit shit. He keeps posting shit. He can't do shit.
They
no one wants to
traded.
go play for New England. McCorkle sucks.
They made a couple trades, but that was really it. They traded away a guard to the Bucks.
Yeah, that's helping Tom Brady. That's crazy. They got nothing for him.
As things stand right now, I think you have 2 wild cards out of the West and 1 out of the North.
Yeah, probably.
That's it.
And then the division winners. Yeah.
Yeah. No one else from the East. No one else from the South.
Yep. That's probably really fair to say. I mean, that's a way too early prediction. Let's
wait for that.
But I mean, that's, and we'll be talking about it all off season. And I'm sure as everything progresses, those thoughts will probably say the same. I don't see much changing. The only thing that would shake that shit up now would be an injury. I mean, the Chargers are pretty much done. You know, all these other teams. And it's interesting to see if Sean's going to pick Cleveland. I can't see him picking Cleveland, but
that team's good.
They don't. I mean, hey, we got Amari Cooper. Like, do you want to come here and throw touchdowns to him? I mean, they got the best running attack in the NFL. So
the offensive line is still good. They did lose their center, but I love their depth there. I think they just got Chase Winovich.
Yeah, oh great, he fucking sucks. Cleveland could definitely do some damage with Deshaun as their quarterback.
Absolutely.
And then all of a sudden they're a threat. I mean, yeah, it's gonna be a long season, guys.
Well, I think if they get Deshaun, I think people start looking at Lamar like, hey, bud, you're like the 3rd best all of a sudden. I'm not even being funny. Like,
no, I know.
You would clearly be the 3rd best quarterback if that were to happen.
Well, no, 4th.
Wow. Over Mitch? Behind Mitch?
Are you kidding me?
Don't
you dare. Don't you dare.
Okay. All right.
First of all,
I think that's it.
How many MVPs does Lamar have?
Jesus Christ.
Okay, we're done.
How many?
Okay, we're in the epilogue now, guys.
How many does Mitch have?
Guys, please. We were so good. We were doing so good, guys.
I love Mitch. Once in a while.
I love Mitch. Trust me. I think it's a good fit, but come on, man.
I said Lamar's the 4th best in that division.
Okay. We're allowed 3 hot takes a show.
Lamar's in the bottom half of that division.
Well, here, we can go back to the discussion we had 2 months ago. If he's not the best first in the division.
Well, that's my point.
It doesn't matter.
I'm saying he's 3rd. You're saying he's 4th. Either way, it's the same conclusion.
I know, but I got to give Mitch. Mitch has got to be above him just because.
If you're not first,
I don't know. Come on. Got to be above him? I don't know about that.
Mitch could actually make some damage.
And actually, that's a great scenario for Mitch. We don't have to talk about that right now because
I love their signing in James Daniels. I wanted the Bills to sign him.
I think Mitch is a really good fit in Pittsburgh. So that's a team where he should have ended up. So that's a good fit for him.
All right, any final notes, guys?
Who's the best team in the West?
AFC?
Yeah.
Denver.
Not the Raiders.
Thanks, dog.
You hate the Raiders and Derek Carr. You got this vendetta against them. You fucking hate Derek
He hates them. I don't know.
I had them winning a playoff game for some reason because I wanted to change it up a bit.
You told me Baker was better than Derek Carr. I'll never forgive you for that.
I believe Baker one day will shine on a team. Yeah, in spite of you, DJ.
He'll shine on Dancing with the Stars.
I don't know when, but he will.
You know, I mean, this is just fancy thinking, but you know where I would actually like to see Derek Carr go? Because I think it's a lost cause with the Raiders because they are, I mean, no offense to him, but he's the 4th best quarterback. That's the 4th best roster. And I think the likelihood of success in that division is slim to none unless something catastrophic happens. You know where I would love to see him if he were to go? Indy.
Washington?
Indy? Yeah.
That's actually, I never even thought about that.
I think any QB, like I heard rumblings that like Matt Ryan might be traded. That would be a really good fit because like how good their offensive line is. Derek Carr. I do agree with Gabe that Jimmy G would absolutely be the best fit because
that's probably the best and most realistic thing that's going to happen. But like just saying, if Derek Carr were going to move on out of right this second, that would be an interesting scenario.
Yeah, I got Denver winning the West though. I think they're the best team in the West.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue who has the best offense, but I think defense, Kansas City's got like the third best defense by far now.
It's the same thing we always said with the past 2 years we've said about Seattle, how like we don't figure out how they're always fucking in it, but they're always fucking in it. Russell Wilson is why they're always in it. And now Russell Wilson's in Denver with arguably his best offense he's ever had. He's got Javonte Williams. He's got
Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy,
Tim Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, he's got weapons, and they were a quarterback away from being probably a threat last year. So to add Russell, everyone's saying Russell's washed. Nah, he ain't washed.
No.
He ain't washed.
He's a top 5 quarterback.
Yep, he's not washed. If anything, he just got way better.
Absolutely.
Seattle's just a terrible organization.
Yeah.
They didn't even call Bobby Wagner.
Like the Sabres.
I'd like to point out that all other three teams in the West, Raiders, Chargers, and Broncos, all went big money on the edge position in some way. Raiders extended Max Crosby, Chargers trade for Khalil Mack, and Denver today signs Randy Gregory. So you can tell what their intent is with those signings. I don't know what to predict with that division. They're coming for Patrick Mahomes, both literally and like metaphorically, as far as like division title.
I think the Chiefs are the wild card. I think they finished third in that division.
I think it's the Chiefs division until they lose it.
Nah, the Chargers got astronomically better in the last 24 hours, and then the Broncos were already a really good roster and got better. So,
I mean, with Denver, it's really interesting because now they finally are going to have an offense, and when you have a defense like that, they're the only. Well, I guess the Chiefs kind of, but they're the only team that plays in like tough weather, like come November, December, January in that division. I mean, it gets cold in Kansas City, but when you mix in the air quality in Denver with the cold, I mean, that's next level stuff. So when you add in the elements with the style of play that they have, especially on defense, it's going to be hard to play there. Especially those, like if you're Kansas City or the Chargers in like December, that's going to be a tough game if you're in Denver in December.
Yeah, absolutely. Or in
I agree with everything you said here. But the final point is that we're not going to know until we see it. Like, there's still, I think there's minor question marks about their coach, Hack. Oh, no, Hack. I'm sorry, Hack. And what? Yeah, Hack. Yeah, Hackett.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett. And we don't know how that's going to mesh, like in regards to their O-line, and like it might take time to like develop that chemistry. But that's like the only concern that we have, and for all we know, probably won't even matter at all. But
no,
you know how it's going to mesh. You know how it's going to mesh?
Like Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur?
Well, that, or Russell Wilson's going to be like, hey, you call plays in Green Bay? No. Okay. Hold the clipboard. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Are we done?
I think we're good. We covered it.
So.
I'm done talking. I don't have
no one's going to
listen. Unless we're talking Sabres, I'm not talking about anything else.
No, we're not.
It could be another hour.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the Sabres.
All I know is they're winning the cup.
Next year.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I'm not drinking tonight either. So that was a.
You're definitely drinking.
No, I don't feel good.
Not on a Tuesday.
Not on a Tuesday. Maybe Wednesday.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, hump day.
Maybe tomorrow.
Thursday is the best day.
All right, guys. So everyone knows by now that if you like us, you can subscribe, follow us on social media at 71 Blitz on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Maybe we'll have a TikTok when we get cousin Carmine to come over off the boat. Maybe we do a TikTok thing. I don't know. We got all kinds of ideas in the chamber. I don't know what's going on. So, but yeah, 71 Blitz. If you guys got it in the ad, go ahead.
The best Blitz in Buffalo.
The only Blitz in Buffalo.
And remember to follow and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the back of your white Bronco, the back of Brickyard Brewery, anywhere you can listen to get your premier Bills content.
All right, guys.
We'll be having more episodes more frequently now that the ball's rolling with the NFL. Who knows? We might even talk hockey if we're feeling frisky. But Definitely more NFL talk to come in the next few weeks.
Yes,
and
sir.
months.
We're back. We're back. Peace out, guys.
We leave, but we're never gone.
No, never.
Never.
In your